Hello there, good evening and welcome. This is ABUJA Dispatch, and like we always tell you every week on this program, it is a platform that we specially create to bring to your living rooms those events and issues which have shaped the thoughts of many in the outgoing week. Adegboyega Arogbodo is my name. Let's start off with those stories that made up our news headlines in the last 7 days.
In fulfillment of an earlier pledge by the federal government to publicly announce the financial position of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, President Muhammadu Buhari has disclosed a net profit, first time in the 44-year history of their establishment. The president, who doubles as Minister for Petroleum Resources, announced the profit after tax of 287 billion naira in year 2020 by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The NNPC losses were reduced from 803 billion naira in year 2018 to 1.7 billion naira in year 2019, and the eventual declaration of net profit in year 2020 for the first time in its 44-year history. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for granting intervention fund to foot the burial expenses of its 188 personnel who died in active service. The chairman, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa, gave the commendation during the check presentation of the payment to the beneficiaries in Abuja. He noted that the last payment was in 2014, while the agency is currently perfecting a process that would make personnel receive their emoluments, allowances, and other benefits as and when due. The NDLEA boss said the presentation of checks covering the burial expenses to their families and beneficiaries would understandably evoke painful memories and sober reflection for all. The United Arab Emirates ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Fahad Obaid Al-Tafaq, says there is no official communication placed on issuance of work permits for Nigerians living and working in the United Arab Emirates. Ambassador Al-Tafaq stated this when he received Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, Chairman CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, at their embassy in Abuja. He said, just like others, he read about the ban in the social media, stressing that the UAE has no restrictions against any nationality. He said there are possibly isolated cases of individuals whose work visas were not renewed for one reason or the other. He added that only last week, United Arab Emirates issued over 50 visas to Nigerians and stressed that there are thousands of Nigerians working and living legally in the UAE.
Welcome back. The international border between Nigeria and her neighboring countries is roughly 4,745 square kilometers long. The problem of insecurity as a result of these borderless borders in Nigeria has become one of the most intractable challenges facing the country today. Nigeria's border porosity and increase in crime waves. This is the crux of our discourse tonight on Dateline. Stay with us.
Borderlands are both melting pots and security hotspots. Regrettably, oftentimes they are neglected in the developmental strategies of the connected countries. They are an arena of cross-border crimes and represent a dynamic place of historically sustained cultural and socio-economic exchange at the same time. Consequently, worries of border porosity and fears of criminal activities spilling over from both communities are always increasing. Informal trade, both legal and illegal, is the most common activity in border communities, and despite increasing subnational and international cooperations, criminal cross-border activities still remain a key variable of instability in the West African sub-region, particularly among the connected countries.
Even though the land border has been open now for legitimate treat. Arms and ammunition are banned. Importations of rice and vehicles is banned across, the land borders. The closure of land borders has been very, very effective, and I will urge the government to continue monitoring the situation to ensure that the influx of arms and ammunition is greatly curtailed.
The problem of porosity of border, we need to take it seriously. And that is the reason why my recent motion in the House was on this issue, porosity of our borders. Because that is where different things, that is used to come into the country. If attention is not paid to it, and we are all shouting bandits, this and that, we are just like scratching the thing on the surface.
In recent times, transnational criminal activities across the Nigerian borders are manifold. They include the trafficking of small arms and light weapons, narcotics and human beings, as well as cross-border armed attacks, after which criminals often retreat to the other side to evade prosecution. The risks presented by militant groups are amplified primarily through the prevalence of porous borders in the West African sub-region. Countries like Benin, Cameroon, Chad and Niger are all potential targets due to their proximity to Nigeria, their demographics and their socio-economic realities.
There's no way 15,836, if we deploy each and every one of us, will block those entrances. It's porous. In the dry season, from cement until you get to Mfu, is motorable. Motorcycles can move anywhere in between those areas.
Nigeria's borders with Benin and Chad are fairly short, that is 773 kilometers and 87 kilometers long, respectively. In comparison, Nigeria's borders with Niger and Cameroon span 1,497 kilometers and 1,690 kilometers, respectively. The porous nature of these borders heightens the potential spread of terrorist activities in Nigeria and into the neighboring countries.
Customs to actually reinforce its activities, like we have in the army. There is civilian military relations that are supposed to be activated. Now, it does not take the customs from deploying, professionals to the dialogue with these host communities, telling them the implications of abetting all those criminals.
Government at all levels should come together, look inwards on how to sensitize these communities surrounding these land borders, on how to see the dangers in accommodating arms while they work hand in hand with those people bringing in arms, those traffickers. After this sensitization, work closely with the security details. And again, you can also implore the youths in these communities to be able to come up with some measures they can be able to use to assist government to actualize this.
Funding infrastructural development towards enhancing border security is one way in which border control efforts can be supported. Many have also called for deeper collaboration between the various border agencies, and relevant legal instruments and framework should also be harmonized.
The immigration and the custom men should work with the other paramilitary organs, DSS, the civil defense, and other paramilitary organs like that. They should join hands together. We should not leave it to only immigration and custom men. Even we need to involve the community people.
Effective surveillance and the provision of operational vehicles to Nigerian Customs Service, to the police, to immigration, is highly recommended. Once we do this, we will be able to control the influx of arms and ammunition into illegal routes. It is only through effective surveillance and vigilance that you can do this.
Finally, Regional and international organizations should support efforts geared at tightening borders and restricting the flow of criminal elements within the sub-region.
Thanks for staying with us. Since after the first census was undertaken in Nigeria in 1962, census exercises have triggered political, social, and religious controversies, geopolitical distrust, and disputes that negatively affect nation building and sustainable development in the country. This week on Split Views, we had a no-holds-barred session with Honorable Nasir Issa Kwara, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Population Commission, the body mandated by law to collect, analyze, and disseminate population and demographic data in the country for strategic planning. Join us. Welcome to the Split View segments of our program, ABUJA Dispatch. And on Split Views tonight, we take on the chairman, National Population Commission, Honorable Nasir Issa Kwara. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's start off. The commission has a lot of constitutional mandates. But the general one that many people know is conducting national census. But I know there are other constitutional assignments given to the commission. How has it been since you have taken up the mantle of leadership?
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, the National Population Commission is known for census taking, for the conduct of national housing, population and housing census. But we have a lot of things in our basket. We carry out surveys in the socio-economic sector, especially the health sector, the education sector. We also do birth registration, which is ongoing. Every day of the week, we do the registration, except maybe weekends and public holidays. We also advise government on population matters, especially as we are in now, given the current structure of Nigeria's population, where there's preponderance of youth population. We advise government on what to do to make sure that we get a demographic dividend from this population structure. We do a lot of other things. We also take stock of national assets. From what we are doing in the enumeration area demarcation, we know the stock of buildings that we have in the country, bridges and what have you. We know the stock. So those are things that we've been doing. But census has been the main thing. And we're hoping that we should be able to, with the technology we've adopted, census will not be as extensive henceforth as we've been doing before, because the mainframe, which is the EAD, has been well established for use in future censuses too.
Now, let me ask you this. You've been talking about demarcation exercise. What is enumeration area demarcation? What does it mean?
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry, I assume that yes, but I'll provide the answer. Enumeration area demarcation is an exercise that the National Population Commission does in, the entire landscape of the country is split into some smaller units that can be handled by two enumerators, because we normally have a pair of enumerators who go and conduct census. By the time we're conducting census, normally times are given 3 days or 2 days. So within that period, you should be able to cover that area and send in your data without extending beyond to affect the jobs of or extending the coverage of the exercise. Yeah, that's the enumeration area demarcation.
As it were now, there are challenges, I believe, because I think recently you inaugurated some members or kind of a set of people to go to the field a kind of a pre-census exercise stuff. What have been the feedback?
The response is quite good. You see, Nigerians are very, very interesting human beings. Some, in fact, a large proportion have given us the cooperation that we need, and we're thankful to them for that. There are a few that are, very adamant. They prefer to continue to criticize government work. They see it more as something else. Then there are those that just sit on the fence. They are nonchalant. But we are on our part are trying to bring everyone on board so that we can accept this exercise as our own. It is Nigeria's exercise, not the Commission's exercise. It's Nigeria's exercise. We should adopt it as our own. The federal government takes the responsibility for funding the census because it's in the exclusive list. But the benefit of census is not to federal government alone, it's to the states, local government, and even international community. Yes.
Now, that means that you need the cooperation of the local government, the state government, and even private, stakeholders generally.
Been given that. The state government normally comes in handy when we go in for the innovation and education. We normally write to inform them we'll be coming, and they should assist with advocacy, enlightenment, sometimes logistics. So they support us, the state and local government, and the international partners, development partners. They also come in, providing technical support and sometimes financial assistance.
I put it to you, sir, many people believe that the nation's developmental agenda has not been really been at the right pace because there is no sustainable data. You just mentioned some steps being taken by the Commission to get data in all the different sectors. But as it were, how sustainable are those steps that we are taking? Because people want to know how many are we, how many are these things, how many are these, in order for government to plan for developmental purposes.
Okay. You see, the periodicity for conduct of census is very, very important. If we abide by it, we always continue to update our data. But having stayed for so long, up to 15 years without conducting census, most of the data will be outdated. What we just do are estimates. And estimates, you can never compare estimate with the real census data that is produced. So what we're trying to do is to get the National Assembly to amend the Constitution and the law establishing the Commission to make sure that we incorporate the periodicity of taking census decennially every 10 years. Whether like we do for election, whether there is rain, sunshine, when it is 4 years, election will be conducted. So census should be like that too. So that is one step. Then two, the methodology adopted in conducting demarcation enumeration exercise. We have now adopted an electronic system for the enumeration area demarcation. We have satellite imageries of the entire landscape of the country. And we have that, and this is a frame that will not change. If you build your house 10 years ago, it's still there, it will be seen by now. And the next 5-10 years, it should still be there. Maybe there just be improvement if you want to renovate. If there are houses that were constructed, when we're doing the innovation education, they are halfway finished. By the time we are reviewing the process next time, we'll find it a complete building and probably occupy it. So it is something that we have developed now that we continue to build on. In the past, we used manual system. We use maps, and maps, are so difficult to handle. They take space. Even the storage becomes a problem. You have rats eating most of the maps. So we have this now electronically stored in our database, and we continue to update it. So it makes the whole census taking easier in subsequent years. You don't have to go whole scale redoing what you had done before. It's just to update. And with the continuous birth registration, the scale of coverage becomes even lesser because you've captured the new birth into your system. So these are the sustainable thing that we need to do is to continuously improve our working system. Continuously improve. We have to be creative and come up with innovative ways of making sure we improve on our operations so that we can deliver to our nation credible census, functional data, acceptable data for both national development and international relations too. Both public and private sector will use the data for the development of Nigeria.
So holistically, what would be your word now to Nigerians, is it advice or suggestions as to how they should take the exercise as the, as a release timetable?
I would like to first and foremost thank Nigerians immensely for the support they've given us in the course of carrying out this enumeration area demarcation, in doing our surveys, and the birth registration, all the things that we do. I like to thank Nigerians for the support, and I will crave their indulgence to continue to give us this support more and more, so that Nigeria becomes also a digital country that can provide digital data at any time. We need that for Nigeria to be part of the global community of nations.
Bigger legacies will be that the orientation of Nigerians is such that they are free to say whatever they want to say about their government, about their leaders, and so on and so forth. And that we have really established ourselves as an administration. People who say anything or everything about the president, about the administration, about members of the National Assembly, they call us names. And this is part of the intangible dividends of democracy, but we are determined to ensure that the space is wide open for everybody to say whatever he wants to say. But I will advise that don't say things that are bad, because people are in the habit of that. Recently somebody said $10 million was given to the Speaker and the Senate President to give to members of the National Assembly to pass 3%, what do you call it, 3% House Development Fund. That is funny, but also very serious. I really want to take this opportunity to take exceptions to those kind of unwarranted, unprovable, false and fake information being fed to the Nigerian public. And the danger people will face with this is you cause unnecessary damage to the reputation of people. So the freedom of expression is there, probably more than anywhere in the world. But I want to caution that Nigerians should always think positive about their leaders and their administration and their governments. And if they have issues they think very strongly about, let them speak the truth. And we are prepared to take corrections that we feel should be able to make us do better.
That is our package tonight on Abuja Dispatch. For further information, comments, and suggestions, you can contact us on any of our various social media platforms. Thanks for sharing your moments with us tonight on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we'll bring you another refreshing package. Same time, same station. Adegboyega Arogbodo is my name. Have a good night.